All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to be here and welcome, Mick. Thank you for taking the time. We're going to be talking today about cybersecurity, working securely and safely with customers external from your organization, and the use of our new product Engage at Tresorit, and how you've sort of come along your journey to decide to use it and the sort of changes that have occurred in your day-to-day workflows. So, to kick things off, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Aaron Stillman. I'm the head of product marketing at Tresorit. I'm from the US, but now live in Europe, and I'll hand things over to you, Mick.
Yes, so hello everyone. My name is Mick Debe, and I'm a cybersecurity professional living and working in the Netherlands.
Thank you, Mick. Can you maybe share a little bit about your history in the cybersecurity industry, your sort of skill set and knowledge, and maybe a little bit about your company?
Yeah, sure. I'm working for a SME in the Netherlands. So we have a cybersecurity, mainly consultancy company, and we collaborate with a lot of clients in different sectors. So from government to healthcare and higher education, for example. Um, and we use Treasurit for a few years now, so mainly to securely exchange information with our clients. And we're missing something which made it more easier for us to collaborate securely with our clients. So we're missing the front end, and that's what yeah made Engage useful for us.
So one of the, stats that I'll sort of throw out there that we could see from a McKinsey report in 2022 is that 75% of enterprises use four or more tools for file sharing and project management and messaging, and 38% use six or more different platforms. So you mentioned using Treasured for a few years now. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that you've experienced, um, even though you had Treasure It with having so many different tools, or maybe deciding not to use those tools? What were the, real pain points in your day to day before deciding to start utilizing our new product, Engage?
Yes, so the tools that different clients use or want to use is of course different for each of them. So sometimes some structure works for client A but does not work for client B, so that's sort of a hassle. And also the fragmentation of tools that you have is also sometimes confusing. So some clients like to use solution A for instant messaging, but others don't, which obviously also complicates stuff for us. So for one project you have to work in this way, and for another project you have to work in another way. So you have to adapt to the situation constantly, which is inefficient and also confusing at sometimes. So having the opportunity to centralize more of this communication that you have is very welcome, at least for us, and also our clients really like it.
Can you describe a little bit what, if any, tools you were using previously in your workflows?
Yes, so we used Signal, for example, for instant messaging. Sometimes we used Tresorit for file exchange, but we also used email, for instance, for status updates on the project, or when the client has questions, they could contact us via email. But we also use different tools for note-taking or task management. So as you can hear already, there's some fragmentation here, and which all relates to the same project that you are doing for your customer. So um, having this opportunity to centralize it is really efficient. Yeah.
And I know it's somewhat of a funny question, and we were laughing about it in our previous call when we were preparing, but you know, as you've mentioned, you've used Treasured Secure Cloud for a few years now. And the question is almost like, well, why was that not good enough? What is it that you were not able to do that was challenging? Maybe, resulting in needing some of these other tools, or just, caused a bit of a challenge working with your customers.
Yeah, so Tresorit, its main focus was always on zero knowledge secure data storage or exchanging data with your clients. So you can share it with a file request securely, or you can with a link, or you can request a secure upload of files. But there's no way of having more interaction besides that. You always need to switch to another channel what you have. So you can have email conversations or instant messaging, for instance. But you don't have a place where you can combine those different factors, and that's something which Engage now has introduced. So you can have a main project page where you can show some general information about the party that you're doing. You can provide status updates there. You can have task management in there. You can assign them to different people where they automatically receive notifications. You can add documents there. You can have a different structure. You can add different permissions. And that was something which was missing in Treasury before. So we really needed to rely on other tools to accomplish the same goal. And that's where Engage really steps in for us, at least.
And we heard that from a lot of our customers. We've been around for over a decade, and over the years, we really developed a target group and a core sort of customer base that really represents a lot of what you just said, and you and your company. So whenever it's highly regulated and really sensitive information, companies in general struggle to find the right balance of a user-friendly tool that is also secure in its nature. And the feedback that you just shared is what sort of led into the introduction of Engage. Could you talk a little bit about, what your journey was like? What caught your eye? Were you already looking on the market? And, were you comparing to others? How did you end up even getting started?
Yes, so we actually were looking at different solutions with comparable features because we were missing this in Tresorit. And then all of a sudden I received the email from, and there is a new functionality in Tresorit Engage. And then I read more into it and saw some videos about it. Then I just used the trial functionality to just give it a go and experience what it was like. And yeah, I really liked it at first, and I played a bit around with it, and I could directly implement it also for some projects that we had ongoing. So that was quite useful. So and because we were already using Tresorit, the combination was very easy to make for us and a very logical one as well. So.
And if I remember correctly, being based in the Netherlands, making sure that your data was hosted in Europe was especially important. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So also because of the geopolitical issues at this point, data sovereignty is also very important. So where the data is actually being stored is definitely not only something that we find important, but also our clients find that very important.
And again, there's a common theme in what I'm hearing from you and conversations I've had in the past. I think in particular with cybersecurity, where you almost have to walk the walk, in order to gain the trust of your customers and your potential customers. You have to be very selective about the tools you use, and you can't give advice and consultancy to do one thing if you yourself is doing another. Can you talk a little bit about, that specifically for your industry, what it's like and the challenges, and for the people who are tuning in and listening, what sort of advice you'd give when trying to find that balance?
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct that that's very important to gain trust with your clients about the way you operate. And yeah, trust it has been being a trusted solution for us for many years, and our clients really like the way that we share our reports, for example, with Treasurit, or that we can safely ask them to provide confidential information. So this is a very important factor in general in our industry. And it helps that you have a solution which applies zero encryption, which has been verified independently, which you can show to your clients. to get that trust and to build upon that same platform and add new functionalities is really valuable for us. Yeah. So I would recommend it to everyone. Yeah.
Great. I think now it's sort of a good time to transition into talking, maybe not specifically in the details, but as we previously spoke about, one of the projects that you've been using Engage for. So I think you mentioned in the beginning you work with a lot of municipalities as well as healthcare and some other customers that are looking for the services you provide. Talk us through sort of the workflow and the project and the interactions that you've had with one of your clients.
Yeah, sure. So we are now working for a few municipalities at the same time with an overseeing board who's managing track of all those separate investigations. And with Engage, we can ease the onboarding process, so we can create a template which is made specifically for our target audience, and we can just copy that a few times for the other municipalities, and we can onboard everyone, provide them the information that they need about this project. They can upload the documentation that we need. We can do our analysis there and share our information on there. So everything is really centralized. And if there are any tasks that we would like to add to specifically people within this environment, we can just add it to the Engage room. So that's one way we engage, how Engage is being used from a client perspective, but we also use it internally for collaboration with our own co-workers who are helping us on this project. So we have one room for ourselves where we have a different folder structure for each municipality in this case, where we as a internal group can have access to and share information on conversations that we had, analysis that we have done, which all ultimately lead up to sharing information in the other Engage rooms where the clients also have access to. So that workflow works really well, and it's very clear for everyone where information is being stored or where it can be found or what contact details are. So yeah, it works really well in practice. So.
That's interesting. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you have sort of a group of external consultants that you're hiring, that you're working with, and you've created data rooms for them. And you've also created separate data rooms for the municipalities that you're also working with on this project. So, did I understand that correctly?
Yes, that's correct. Because when you're working on an assignment, you don't want the client to see everything. They need to see some definitive results which you would like to share with them securely, but they don't need to see rough notes or maybe other stuff from other clients if you're working on the same project in this case. So you need to make sure that that's being separated from each other. And yeah, with Engage, you can very easily achieve that.
Hmm. That's interesting. I think that's one of the first times I've heard that type of use case, where it's being separated that way. Uh, okay, great. Well, um, now that you've sort of talked through, the workflow and how you've set up the different data rooms and worked with these municipalities on the projects, can you sort of articulate? It's like the so what changed for you in your workflow? Was there, very specific impacts on the day to day or the amount of time you were spending? What's the experience been like?
Yeah, so it drastically reduces the manual operations that you need to do. So for the onboarding process, for example, for us at least, we can now have the different templates for different kind of assignments that we are doing for our clients, which makes it a lot easier. And we only have to assign rights, create a new data room, and repeat the same process instead of having to draft emails manually, copy them from some place, adjust them to the right names. So those manual operations are reduced, and also by having the information centralized in one place, we reduce communication about status updates, about what the tasks are at this point for project A, B, or C. because they can find it themselves in the right place. Everyone knows where the information is being stored and can look for the latest updates themselves if they would like to. So yeah, that saves us at least a day work, I think, per week. So it's quite significantly. Yeah.
I think I remember we talked about this at one point on in general, this project is what, a couple of months, or how long do your projects usually run?
It strongly depends, but mostly 2 3 months at a minimum to half a year maybe. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. All right. Well, I think, the one of the last questions is sort of around again, sort of the advice to the audience. So if you were, going to articulate how someone should evaluate their workflows and the tools that they use and the way they're sort of collaborating externally. You mentioned email, you mentioned instant messenger, you mentioned, tasks. What's your advice, especially I think with all the conversations around AI and I can't turn around without hearing or seeing something about it. But with Tresorit, we don't currently have AI built in with zero knowledge end-to-end encryption. There are some sacrifices in the functionality that we offer for the security. So what would you say to the audience, about the decision-making process and how to go about it?
Yes, yeah. So for us personally, the security features are more important to us than the functional requirements. So that's at least a trade-off that we make ourselves. But for us, it's also very important to reduce complexity and make it easier for our clients and uh, to make them feel comfortable by the way of working that we are applying for them. So having that trusted environment where zero knowledge is applied, where the data storage geolocation can be chosen. In this case, in Europe, that's very important for us. And yeah, would recommend everyone to um, make a secure and well thought choice on this. Also, to centralize stuff is not only helping yourself having oversight of what's going on, but it also makes it easier to manage, right? So that's where Engage and Treasure in general can really help you. So yeah, I would also recommend everyone to look deeper into it. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, I appreciate you, not only being a customer for a long time, trying, and becoming an advocate for Engage, spending this time with us, and sharing with the community. So Mick, hats off to you. Thank you for spending the time. For everyone listening, please feel free to enjoy some of the other videos that you'll find on YouTube and with Treasure. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I wish everyone a good day. Thanks.